Good morning. We're going to go ahead and start a new chapter. Today we're going to be in chapter 8, negative numbers and unknowns. So if you will get your book out on this. It's a pretty short lesson, pretty easy lesson. And we're working with negative signs and unknowns. Now, since negative signs have a way of showing up in all sorts of situations, we're going to take the chapter to look more closely at how to work with equations that include negative signs and unknowns. Now, basically, we'll learn to apply what we already know about negative numbers with what we already know about unknowns and simplifying expressions to problems involving both. We're going to start by reviewing once again what the negative sign means and look at how that applies when we're dealing with an unknown. Now, as you know, a negative sign means the opposite of. So negative 5 means the opposite of 5. This applies to unknowns too. Negative x means the opposite of x. A negative sign in front of an unknown means the same as it would if it were in front of a known number to find the opposite of the value. Okay? Now, x could still be a positive or a negative number. Either way, though, the negative sign tells us to take the opposite of x's value. All right, let's turn the page. Let's look at an example. Now you're going to see the term evaluate a lot. It just means a word. It's just a word, an expression that means just do the problem. So evaluate negative x if x equals 8. So we're going to substitute 8 for x to find the answer. So negative x, substitute 8, you get negative 8. That's it. Okay. Now we're going to evaluate negative x if x equals negative 8. So now we're going to substitute negative 8 for x to find the answer. Well, x is negative x, so our answer is negative 8. The opposite of 8 is 8. Remember, this is the opposite of the opposite. Okay, so that would be 8. Now we're going to evaluate 5 minus x if x is negative 2. So we're going to substitute negative 2 for x. See how we did this? Now, since the opposite of 2 is positive 2, this simplifies to 7. Okay, because it's the opposite of the opposite, which is positive. Now, you might be wondering, would we ever need to evaluate an expression like this? Subtracting unknowns, which could be negative, turns up all the time as we explore the consistencies that God created and sustains around us. So we're going to take a look at an example here. If our current position relative to home, which is P, is 30 miles, and our initial position relative to home, which is PO, was negative 60 miles. An example is 60 miles in the opposite direction. What was the change in our position? So here we want to find the change in position. Now this O right here is called a subscript number, and it doesn't mean anything except that it's the second number that means something else. Okay, the first P means where we are now. This P means where we were. So it's just showing you a different number. Okay. Now, we want to find a change in position on this one. So to find this, we need to take the current position, which is P, which is this, subtract the initial position, which was that, from it. This will tell us how the position has changed. So that would be P minus, this will be what it is now, minus what it was. Let's substitute the values that we were given. Notice these negative signs. So P is 30 miles minus this is negative 60 miles. Now let's simplify, remembering that two negative signs make a positive because it's the opposite of the opposite, which is a positive. So it's the same as saying this. So now you can complete it and find your answer. It was 90 miles. Okay, I hope that makes sense to you. If not, just kind of look back over it. See what you think. If you're going to need any help on it, because I'll be happy to help you. Just want to make sure you get it. All right. Let's look right here. We're almost done. We just got to read this gray box. Now think about what the answer we just found means. Okay, we started at negative 60 It's where it said we started. That was PO. We started here. Now we're 30 miles from home. So now we're at 90 miles more in the positive direction than we were at the beginning. Our change was a positive 90 miles. Don't let those negative signs in the problems fool you. You have the tools you need to solve, and just remember that each negative sign means the opposite of. So don't forget that, okay? All right, so let's look at our page. Worksheet 8.1, kind of a short page. Should be real easy. You're just going to review these by simplifying these expressions, what we just did. This one gives you what the variable equals so that you can fill in the number. And then you've got a little skill sharpening here. And you do not have, well, looky there. It's one page. So this ought to be really, really simple. Now again, if you have any trouble with this, let me know, because I do not want to go forward till you understand this, okay? Just let me know. Otherwise, go ahead and do your assignment for the day.